It's a privilege to be here. When I think of where we are today and see where I was when I started out, the road has changed dramatically. When I started out, there was very few naturopathic doctors back then, and it wasn't the method that they would go to on the first come, first serve. They would go first to the allopathic medicine, and at the last resort, they would come and they would see what could be done as a naturopath. I found I was dealing with probably 90% of my cases were chronic, cancer, AIDS, neuromuscular disorders, MS, stage 4 cancer, and it was a lot to take for a young doctor to come out, but that was, it seems everyone came to me at that level of severity. And I realized at that time that there wasn't the treatment modality available. Everything that I was studied for and what I really researched for, I could not find. Everything was available either in America, which across the border it was legal. In Canada it was illegal. Even simple amino acids, but my patients needed these products. So when I see today, where you're sitting today, that this school is standing across the street from an allopathic medicine. That school, they treat disease, that's a disease plan. What they do, they treat people with diseases. Here you treat people for health. It's a health plan. There, they treat people for first aid. Here, holistic therapy. There they have loads of side effects. What you do as young doctors is bring the body into a place where it heals itself. And that we can't do more about, because no person can heal and no product can heal. Only we can bring the body into a position where it can heal itself. What we're going to talk about today is pain management. Now, acute pain is pain that goes away after 3 months. Chronic pain lasts more than 3 months. Now, what we're going to see here, this is the Life Choice brand of products, and pain relief and natural choice. Now, the national pain statistics. In the US, 100 million people suffer from chronic pain. That's almost 1/3 of the population. More than diabetes, heart disease, and cancer combined. The total annual incremental cost of pain-related health care in the US ranges from $560 to $635 billion. In Canada, it is estimated that 6.8 million people, 1 out of 5, suffer from chronic pain. The estimated cost of pain-related issues ranges from $56 billion to $60 billion in Canada. In the next 20 years, the aging population, and I believe much less than 20 years, the number of Canadians suffering from chronic pain is expected to climb 1 out of 3. Now, I did some statistics here. Now, say you were in a Super Bowl, and this was being filled by only Americans. There'd be 1 out of 3 Americans. There you would have there 18,000 Americans would be in that stadium of 60,000 people. If that was put into Canada and filled with Canadians, there'd be 12,000 people in that stadium of 60 in pain. Now, seniors. We must not forget about the seniors. Seniors 60 years and older, there would be 36,000 people in that stadium in chronic pain. You take them from a nursing home, 48,000 people in that stadium of 60,000 would be in chronic pain. Now, children, they're not exempt. 2% of boys and 6% of girls, 12 to 17, are in chronic pain. So this is a pandemic. This is a condition, until I really started going into the research, I didn't know how severe it really was. But it is critical. It's a critical mass. And people don't talk really about pain too much. They're not talking about their pain, they just deal with it. And we're going to see how they deal with it. Pain and resilience connection. Now this was a very interesting study. Now because the package that we come into life with and we present to everyone, this is our physical body. But it's not made up of just the body. What we are is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual beings. They did a study, and they were doing that people that would go in for social rejection. So they would go into a dating club and they would set themselves up for a date and they'd be turned down. And the level of pain was that they felt with that opioid release, those were the most resistant to high levels of natural pain. So it says consequently when prescription opioids are taken, this can tamper with the natural process leading to further damage of addiction. So we have the ability within ourselves, and like I always believe that we will our sickness or we will our health. Everything starts first in the mind. Pain, depression, and then death. That's the spiral. Those that suffer from chronic pain are twice as likely to suffer from major depression as those who do not have chronic pain. People with chronic pain on average die 2 to 5 years sooner than those that do not have chronic pain. When chronic pain is not properly treated, lasting damage can take in the peripheral nerves, the spinal cord, the brain, to the point that the body forgets how to stop hurting. And the healing should have occurred, but it doesn't. And chronic pain sufferers are twice as likely to commit suicide. Now there's two outcomes. Despite these statistics, when you go to a medical doctor, it's either it's in your head or they medicate. And how they medicate, they do opioid drugs or that level of products. Now, although Canada is home to some very leading pain research, in 2011, wait times, 1 to 3 years to go see a clinic. Children and adolescents only have a handful of clinics dedicated to them so that you can specialize. So their time is much slowed down. In a survey, 10 major Canadian universities, it was discovered that veterinarian students received 87 hours of pain training, while medical students averaged 16 hours of pain training. So you're better off going to a vet. In other words, the average doctor doesn't know too much about treating pain. And here's where you're dismissed. Because pain is invisible, and by blood tests it doesn't show, bone scans, doctors tend to be skeptical. And they look for a verified form of the pain. So, I mean, if your arm is severed, well, that's different. But if it's something that you look healthy, they won't believe you as much. So instead of patients may be written off as trying to cheat the system. Not surprising, the healthier, more attractive you appear, the less credence will give to your pain. And women, poor women. Women tend to be more dismissed than men. With this stereotype of men being tougher and alive and viral, their pain is serious. Women are considered weaker, hence their pain is all in their head. This is why often men walk out of the appointments with prescription painkillers, and women walk out with medication for psychologists. They need to have psychological medication, like sedatives or the same. And ironically, Stanford University found that women feel pain 20% more than men. Canadians were once identified as the world's highest users of prescription opioids. Oxycontin and oxycodone is the new one. Alarm at this news led to Oxycontin being banned, but like they have the evil cousin is right back. It's harder capsule, but they can still make a breakdown and it still has the side effects. However, opioids are known for their being highly addictive. Even those who do not become addictive, dependency is likely, with withdrawals when medications stop. In the US, opioids have surpassed heroin as a new street drug of choice. What it is legalized heroin. And I know of a person, a young lady, 20 years old, was strung up on Oxycontin, 2 times in rehab, went down to next to nothing, beautiful girl. She has diabetes, and she may lose her limbs because of this, because the addiction is so great that she just can't break it. From 1997 to 2004, the National Medical Expenditure Panel survey found opioid prescriptions for patients with spinal disorders rose 108%. Emergency rooms are parallel prescription numbers, and death-related opioid prescription numbered 4,451 in 2002, more than cocaine or heroin. And besides the risk of addiction, it is suggested that due to the changes it brings in the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system, opioids may actually increase the sensitivity to pain. There's studies to prove that. So what you're giving for a treatment is actually making you less sensitive. And you can see why the downward spiral. The U.S. federal officials say no drug has been so widely abused after approval like Oxycontin. Side effects of regular Oxycontin use include sweating, headaches, dizziness, weakness, dry mouth, sensation, nausea, vomiting, and those are just the ones they put on the label. Side effects include gastrointestinal effects, cardiovascular effects, coma, seizures, reduced vision, and loss of mental clarity. And withdrawal symptoms include hot, cold sweats, constant pain in the joints, muscles, coughing, heart palpitations, and vomiting, and you don't want to get off. They don't want to get off. They're afraid that they'll die. It's the high is too great, they can't let go. They're looking for answers. In 2001, 3 medical doctors made headlines when they wrote an editorial in the Archives for Internal Medicine. The doctors warned of the dangers of long-term use with opioids and encouraged fellow physicians to be honest with their patients about the limit of medication. They also suggested that the doctors encourage their patients to consider healthier alternatives such as physical therapy and yoga. The CNN covered this story by Jim Heckler, who suffered from pain after falling from a hip surgery. And then or failed hip surgery, he was prescribed narcotic pain medication. Initially, he was told that the narcotics, however, did not comfortable to take them for very long. And then he found a second physician, and he replaced the narcotics and put him on exercise, weight loss, a diet. And he dwindled it down till he no longer takes painkillers. So there's where I say the mental approach. Because when you focus your energy on the physical and the mental, and you become spiritual, then all things work together, and then you can do some marvelous things. There is a different way. And as you know, the natural alternatives show a great deal of promise in treating chronic pain, such as arthritis. Even one study referred to such products as a gold mine. But they don't know what you have here. Across the street, they want what this school has, but they don't know. They just don't know. And that's where I say you are like a beacon. You're like a lighthouse that stands on a hill. And that light that you shine, you may not know. You might take your schooling but you don't know that your influence resonates through the whole community. And you will give one vibration to one, and to the next, and to the next. And you'll raise the consciousness of the people. And they will get well, and they'll talk about wellness. And one day I hope that we're going to have a balance, where we're going to see not everything to drug therapy, it'll be to natural therapy, and we'll get our bodies back in like a Garden of Eden, back to normal. So the body, absorption is, with life choice, is the difference. And this is where, for natural health products, to have a therapeutic effect, you first have to have the starting position. Like building a house, the foundation is your most important key. You have to lay the foundation with quality products. And I don't mean just look at a C of A. You have to do a lot of research. And you have to formulate a product because the body has receptor sites, the blood-brain barrier, the intestinal walls, and we have to have a product that actually penetrates the blood-brain barrier or any barrier to access, and that's where, like a key is a reliable door. Now you can have a bunch of locks, and you can try all the nice keys, and they may look nice, and they may have actually just about fit, but unless it turns, it's not going to get into the receptor site. And this is where it has to be, you have to use various forms on how to formulate, and that's what we've done.